大家好，我是 Martin, and this is Short Stories, brought to you by the Taichung Keda Language Center. Today's short story is about the Bard Prison Initiative. This is a program for helping prisoners avoid going back to prison. It does this by giving them educational opportunities while they are serving time in jail. So this is a pretty good program for trying to solve the problem of recidivism. There's a big word for you. Well, before I read this article, I'm going to first read the vocabulary and vocabulary example sentences. And after I have read the article, I will then read 4 listening comprehension questions. Let's begin. Release. Release. The criminal was released from prison after 7 years behind bars. Permission. Permission. My boyfriend accused his brother of borrowing the car without permission. Graduate. Graduate. Annie is a graduate of Waseda University. Go up against. Go up against. We will go up against a lot of opponents in this international competition. Commit a crime. Commit a crime. If you commit a crime, you'd better be ready to do the time. Be enrolled in. Be enrolled in. Only those who meet the requirements will be allowed to enroll in the class. Punishment. Punishment. Gina's punishment for littering was to pick up trash from the streets for 8 hours. Access. Access. Students in this small village don't have access to computers, let alone the internet. Debate. Debate. The 2 teams debated whether cloning should be legalized. Restricted. Restricted. Entrance into this fancy social club is restricted to members only. Vocabulary is complete. Now let's begin the story. One program is making prisoners model citizens. Prison is considered a punishment for breaking the law, but instead it should be an opportunity for people who committed crimes to become productive members of society again. Unfortunately, many criminals only know a life of crime, so they tend to return to prison within just a few years after being released. To prevent this problem, the Bard Prison Initiative was created. Bard College in New York offers prison inmates a chance to earn a degree. Currently, there are around 300 people enrolled in this challenging program. Why is it challenging? As criminals in prison, the students have scarce resources. They are not allowed access to the internet. Textbooks and even library books are only allowed with permission from the prison guards. Also, not all inmates who apply to the program are accepted. Maybe because of these challenges, however, the program is very successful. In most of New York, 40% of prisoners return to jail within 3 years. In contrast, only 3% of Bard Prison Initiative graduates return to prison. What's more, the Bard Prison Initiative debate team recently beat one of the best debate teams in the world, the Harvard College Debating Union. In a public debate, 3 Bard Prison Initiative students went up against 3 Harvard students. They had to argue whether or not children who are not American citizens should be allowed to go to school. Though the prisoners thought everyone should be allowed to attend school, they had to argue the opposite. However, with preparation and a unique argument, the Bard Prison Initiative students defeated the better-funded, less restricted Harvard competitors. The victory was great for the 3 students that won. But it was even better for all the prisoners who want a second chance at life. It shows that anyone can become a better person if they are given the opportunity to excel. So helping prisoners learn new skills and improve themselves so they don't have to go back to prison again. That's a pretty good program. Now I'm going to read the 4 listening comprehension questions. Do your best to answer them. Question 1. What did the prison debate team have to argue? A. That children who are not U.S. citizens should not be allowed in public schools. B. That children who are not U.S. citizens should be allowed in public schools. C. That prisoners should be allowed in U.S. colleges. D. That children should be allowed in U.S. prisons. I think we can eliminate D. I think that's obviously not true. And we're not talking about C. The answer is either A or B. Now this is the confusing thing. The answer, I will tell you, is A, that children who are not U.S. citizens should not be allowed in public schools. Let me explain by going back to the reading. It says they had to argue whether or not children who are not American citizens should be allowed to go to school. That is the central question of the debate. And in a debate competition, you have essential questions and 2 teams. Each team will take up an opposite opinions on the question. Now remember, this is not their personal opinion. This is the argument that they were assigned to make. So there's a question, there's an answer yes and an answer no, and they were given the answer of no, so they had to argue for no. Again, that's not what they really think, that's just how a debate competition works. All right? So what they had to argue, and it says here, though the prisoners thought everyone should be allowed to attend school, they had to argue the opposite. They had to argue that they should not be allowed in schools. Question 2. How many Bard Prison Initiative graduates returned to prison? A. 40%. B. 3%. C. 30%. D. 0%. The answer is B. 3%. In the entire New York prison system, the average is 40%. But for Bard Prison Initiative students, it's only 3%. B. Question 3. Why is the Bard Prison Initiative so challenging? A. Prisoners are often too busy to study. B. There are a lot of prisoners enrolled in this program. C. Prisoners have restricted access to textbooks and the internet. D. The prison guards often bully the prisoners. The answer is C. Prisoners have restricted access to textbooks and the internet. Question 4. What is the purpose of the Barred Prison Initiative? A. To increase the number of criminals who return to prison. B. To decrease the number of criminals who return to prison. C. To send prisoners to Harvard. D. To create a prisoner debate team. Well, they did create a debate team, but that's not the purpose of the Barred Prison Initiative. The purpose is B. To decrease the number of criminals who return to prison. And that is the final question. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.